Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Spill and Guts podcast. You are listening to a hungry hippo, Luke Bradley.
And you are listening to the girl that gets busy with the fizzy, Jack Carolyn, baby.
Oh,
Hi, Scout.
look who's
And
joining.
we're also here with the shadow that she is, Miss Scout. Oh, she's gone now.
Well, we've had quite the week. I mean, Friday has been probably one of the best days we've had for a while because the trailer for Halloween Kills dropped and, my mouth dropped with it.
And your pants also dropped with it, COBH. And I think like everyone started been talking about it. We even done the Instagram post on it that it is very spoilery. I mean, there's a lot that we probably had questions about Halloween Kills.
Yeah.
That I think a lot of them were answered in that trailer, sort of what he's doing and how he was surviving the house. And I just don't know if I feel like they should have give all that away, you know?
Well, do you know what? The way I saw it as, I kind of feel like they gave, like personally, I feel like they gave us enough. I feel like when we watch it in October, there'll be so much more that we'll be like, oh, like there'll be a lot more to like get into it. I do feel like they've given us enough to like tantalize us because they gave us that like BTS little teaser video, way back when, and that got everyone like riled up, and everyone and the fans have been crying out like release, release that trailer, and now they have, and everyone's like, oh, well, it's like this is, too much again. It's like, well, I don't think there is too much because we don't. Okay, yeah, we see that like Michael escaped, but we don't actually see how we got from underneath, how we got out of that basement. Like, we still don't know that yet. We know he did, and we know he fucked up a bunch of firemen, but we don't know how that actually transpires.
It shows you in the trailer because the fireman falls through the
yeah.
And then he obviously puts his hand down and Michael grabs it, so he obviously pulls Michael up out of it. And then there was a shot, because I think I've watched like 5 to 10 times already. And I have myself to blame because there's shit that I have noticed rewatching it, and stopping it and starting it and spoiling myself more. I'm glutton for punishment, I can't help it. And he basically looks like that he keeps himself under there because the shutter, which Jamie had Laurie had all of her guns in.
Yeah.
When she pulls that shutter up, he's just gone in there and pulled the shutter down, and it's protected him. Because there's a shot where he pulls the shutter up, and I'm like, smart bitch.
Right. Yeah.
Being in a mental institute all that time, and probably no books on how to survive a house fire and Miss Thing done hid in the metal cupboard. Good for her. She deserves to live.
Yeah, and do you know what? I really like the aspect or idea. I hope they go in this direction because they're kind of hinting at this, that like the town starts, like the whole town like rallies up and it's like on the hunt for Michael. I really hope it's like a, like in Beauty and the Beast, where like where like the whole town gets riled up by like Gaston and they're all like marching to the castle.
We used to always think that what was driving him was like Laurie Strode, but in the new ones, it's like he doesn't even know her until like she goes out of her way to like kick his ass.
It's like he's not even taken her on until she like gets involved, and he's like, do you know what? I'm gonna fuck you up once more. Hello.
And it's the same in this one as well. It's like he's not going, because I thought it would be like he's going to the hospital to get Laurie. He's not. He's just trying to go back to his childhood home. And everyone's like, again, Laurie's just like, he's like minding his own business. And she's like, I'm your business. She's like, leave him alone.
Oh, and you best believe I watched that trailer multiple times to try and find as much information about Kyle Richards as I possibly can. And I could only find those 2 stills that I put up. But I'm so scared for what I think is gonna happen and I don't want it to happen, but I'm scared for her life. I'm scared for Lindsay Wallace's life.
Do you think that she's going to not make the cut?
Well, do you know, you gave me like a bit of hope because I know before you think she'll at least make it to Halloween Ends, right?
I think she's going to love out of this
film. And I think it's me trying to just being hopeful, like agreeing with you, like, because I think why bring those sort of like legacy characters back just to off them? But then again, it's Halloween and it's brutal. Like we learned from the first, the 2019 one. Like it's brutal. Like it's not. It doesn't even. It packs a punch. It doesn't like. It doesn't. It's not very merciful. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah, yeah.
but
Michael
I
Myers
do
is
feel
the
like
one.
we are gonna get like more aftermath and then obviously more action. Because you kind of have to have a bit of like aftermath and what's happened
Yeah.
directly after that one. But I hope she makes it till Halloween ends at
I think
least.
I think she will because we do have this plethora of like old characters coming back. So like Sheriff Burkett, Nancy, who worked with Dr. Loomis in the first one. Then we have Tommy and Lindsay. I think that's probably it. So I mean, if anyone has been as eagle-eyed as I have, they show that Nancy pretty much gets fucked up.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you see her getting her hair grabbed, and then I think that's her that's like strung up. Sorry if I'm spoiling this for anyone, but the trailer put it out there, so this is not my fault, bitch. But and I think maybe Tommy might die, but Lindsay, because I think in the very first behind the scenes trailer, she has like a child, and I could
Yeah.
see them kind of being like, not everyone has to be murdered by Michael. And I
Sure.
think
Yeah.
out of any of them, I think Lindsay is probably the one who's most likely to survive. Like she's real go get her mom, who's like, oh, he fucked up my life when I was a kid, and now I'm gonna, kick his ass because
And
she's gonna get a
are
feisty
they
mama.
bringing back the original Tommy as well?
Mm-mm.
Is it a different person?
It's a different actor, and they're going to bring back Paul Rudd.
Oh, were
Who was
they?
obviously Tommy in Halloween 6. But he couldn't do it due to like schedule conflicts,
Oh,
which is both sad but a good thing because, well, no, it would be great if Paul Rudd wasn't it, but then it almost links Halloween 6. It brings that back into the scene, and
yeah,
I would rather
yeah.
that just all stay on the outside.
That makes.
Looking good
However,
at
did you
that.
not? Have you not seen the meme where they kind of have done like a little like nod to Halloween 3?
Oh, with all the masks.
Yeah,
Isn't it so good? It's so
yeah.
good.
It's
And
like a
that's it.
little wave, like, hey girl.
Uh-huh. Hey, Judy. And that's it. Like, it just looks like everyone knows where Michael's going. So everyone in the town just drives to stop him. And he literally just completely fucks everyone up who gets in his path. And I think Lindsay is going to get a good chase scene. I think Kyle Richards, she looks like she's having like a hustle, a tussle, a good chase scene. And the fact that we don't see a lot of her, I
Yeah.
think means that there's a lot of stuff that they're saving because she has more involvement than what those trailers are showing. But then I'm like, no, I think that's cool. They bring her back from the OG. I kind of want her to make it to the ends, you
Yeah, or
know.
even in Halloween Ends, just get like a really epic death.
Color. It would be good. It's like watching Paris Hilton, isn't it, in House of Wax? There is something
Yeah.
satisfying about seeing a reality star get killed. Like when Davina McCall gets her throat ripped out in Dead Set. That was like, remember
And
when
Carl Richards, and Paris's auntie, Carl Richards.
yeah,
So
that's
all in
right.
the family.
Yep, they just love to get fucked up by creeps and masks. And guess what? I is living for it. I is living for it. So we are, of course, back from long hiatus, and we thought we would come back and review a brand new movie that everyone in the horror community has been talking about. And we thought we would just get our grubby little mitts on it. And that is 2021's British psychological horror Censor.
Coming out of watching it, I'm still quite unsure what it actually is about. But the premise is that it's essentially about this girl called Enid, and it's set in the 1980s, and she works for the censorship, and basically what her job is to review movies of all types to see if they need edits and what age categories they're supposed to be in, and but she has a troubled past because her sister went missing, or it's alluded that her sister went missing or was murdered or something like that, and then she watches this tape and she sees a girl she believes is her sister, and she just starts to spiral into like
obscurity.
Yeah, there's definitely a clear turning point where it goes from sort of like being kind of straight-laced to then just being I mean, the whole thing's weird anyway, but then it gets to a certain point where it just really starts to take a sharp like left, and it goes right down to Weird Town. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
one way ticket, no return. My thing with it is I think it's a very, very, very interesting concept. One that I've probably never really seen before.
yeah.
But again, it plays very much in like art house at points, you know. It's like sometimes you can tell it's all about alluding to things and never actually showing it. And sometimes I think it works and sometimes it doesn't. And I think it always teeter-tottered with this because I think art house films are just it's a matter of taste, really.
Yeah, and I
You know?
think it's very much like a hit or miss. It's either you like it or you don't. And I personally find myself like I enjoyed it. I actually really liked it, but I was like, it's either a mood that I'm in or a mood that I'm not in, because usually like for me, these films are not my cup of tea. But there's just something about this film that I just really kind of just took to. I think. I mean, obviously there were big moments where I was like, yeah, I'm not keen on this, and it's lagging a little bit. But then I think overall, I mean, I liked how like the style it was shot in, and like the
Yeah.
colors and the contrast like that, and how, you know, that sort of stuff. And I like the little like horror clips they use to like bump up the
Yeah,
horror
yeah,
stuff, you know what I
yeah.
mean?
I'm really can be iffy on art house because a lot
Hmm.
of the times all that alluding to stuff and not really showing anything sometimes can bother me. But I think this is the right amount of bonkers for it to be enjoyable and entertaining and to be gripping, you know. We like a little bit of bonkers. We like our girl's cookie. And I think she was crazy cuckoo. See you next Tuesday.
I would still like to know, coming out of it, what went down with the little sister, because you know with the, you know, the back sort of like underlining story is that, you know, Enid, like her sister when they were kids, was either murdered or she was kidnapped. She's definitely missing because, you know, her parents, you know, invite Enid to dinner and say, oh, here's this, you know, a death certificate. And she sort of like freaks out, like, why are you presuming that she's dead? All this kind of stuff. And she's not handled it very well. And it kind of, it alludes to different things. So it alludes to like someone took her sister, or and then it alludes to she left her sister in the woods, and then towards the end it starts to allude that she maybe killed her sister. So I'm still really unsure, did she kill the sister or not?
Because they say your brain chooses a narrative or chooses to remember things differently or will like
Yeah.
block those stuff out. So what was at the start that she went missing? And then when like this like strange snuff film comes out that like is the exact same, it's almost like then her idea of what happened is then changed by this film that was similar. So then she convinced herself that that's actually how it happened and that's what the guy looked like. So then when she goes there, she convinces herself that her sister's actually alive and that everything she's so caught up and like the paranoia that then she believes that everything was real. But what I got from it was that her sister went missing somewhere in the woods, but because the movie had the similar like how the sister looked, it's like they made her believe that that's what happened.
Your brain processes trauma in a different way than you actually think it does, and sometimes to protect yourself or because you can't actually handle the reality of what happened, your brain either like wipes it or rewrites what happened. I don't think it was real. So I think, because I found it really weird that she found out where they were making her last film, that the actress she thinks is her sister, well, that Doug alludes like, oh, she that would be her last film. And you kind of think, well,
Yeah,
is she going to get like, you know, the chop after, like the real chop
yeah.
after she's done that film? Like, what? That's kind of like a really weird thing to say. Yeah, so I find it really strange that she just kind of rocked up to this like movie shoot and no one questioned like who she actually
Yeah,
was and what she was doing there.
and she didn't even be like, I'm not the actress. She just like stood there,
Yeah,
yeah,
she was like,
and said nothing that happened.
yeah, and just like sat down, got her hair and makeup done, almost like chilling in that white dress, and then got onto set. And the director's like being so weird and like pushing her for like, and it was very strange. I don't think any of that was in sort of like her reality. So I don't know if she really did like kill like the actor who played the Beast Man, and then the direct like chopping off the director's head. I don't know if that actually really happened or not.
Mm-hmm. Because if it did happen, then it makes more sense with how the movie ends, where it looks like it is her sister, and she's frolicking and she's having like the best time. And you get, which to me, I actually think is the best part of the whole movie, and the way it's done is so disturbing. How you get this like fuzz second snippet of like different color, and it's like reality of what's happening. It looks like the sister sat in the car smiling, and you get this like snippet of her like screaming, banging the window, and when she brings her to parents and they look like they frolic, and it cuts again. And I thought that was the best part, because it was
Yeah.
so disturbing. Because if if you don't think that like when she kills the director and she kills the actor is not real, that ending both plays to and against that. First chunk is very serious, and
Yeah.
it's literal. It's not, it's very on the nose, hits the mark, does not mess about, very serious tone. And that's the way it is. And then all of a sudden you have a complete 180 of a movie. So by you saying something like maybe she died, like maybe there's a changing point, because it's very strange for a movie to be so serious and so of this world, and then be so otherworldly. And that's that. And I like a film that makes me think about it loads after. Like, did I initially get it when I stopped watching? I sort of stared at the credits, rolled down the screen for a
Yeah,
while, and I
yeah.
was like,
What you said and how you interpreted some things that I didn't even catch and vice
"Mhm,
versa. But I like the way I see it is that, yeah, for me, as soon as that director Doug guy is killed in their little tussle, because that was an accident. That wasn't
mhm."
like, she didn't actually mean to kill him, but I don't think she did kill him. It was just like a stumble and we fell and you got impaled. Um
It's
yeah.
good because it's like, it's basically saying that here's this woman that hates and needs to censor these movies, but by having to sit and watch these movies, she has then become a person who murdered people because of the influence of those movies. So it's very much like with a jab, it's very much jabbing you with a message
Yeah.
of being like, here's this woman who wants everything centered, but she is killing people because of this movie. Don't go in the church has influenced her brain, and now she's actually murdered people because of this film. So it's all very like, it's very clever, like it knows what it is, and it's like looking at us too, and basically saying that we're fucked.
It's
Because we're
yeah,
sitting watching films like this, we're expected to go out and like fuck people up.
it's sort of like looped itself. Like it's kind of like
Mm-hmm.
it's got its own little loop because it's saying that sort of, she's got these high morals. She's like trying to change the world, make the world a less violent place. But by her constantly watching all these violent films, that's now desensitized to her. So then she sort of like has a moment where she slips from reality, and all of a sudden she starts murdering people, but yet still wants the world to be a better place and all sunshine and daisies. But it's just sort of like on its
Yeah,
own,
yeah.
like constant.
You're right. It's got itself in a loop, doesn't it? It's like
Yeah,
that
yeah.
sort of thing that can continue go on. And I love stuff like that. Like I feel so much better about this film now that I'm talking to you about it. I'm like, that was such a good point. Good for you. And I even looked up like what really happens at the end of Censor, and they're still just like, we don't know. And I'm like,
It's whatever you want it to be. Like
like whatever I can be Barney and friends. It can be Bear in the Big House. It can be whatever you. It can be X Factor if you want it to be. And you're like, okay, bitch, work.
I'm now walking around going, well, like, what the fuck happened to her sister? Like, I still don't know what happened to her sister. And did she really do what she did? And
Maybe she killed her sister. Maybe she done something. Maybe that's why she's so desensitized. Or maybe that's
I
why
think she
she hates
did.
violence so much, because it's like completely blocking out the fact that she murdered her. So anything of violence she wants to cut out. Because she
I think
cuts
she
out the
did.
violence. I got it. I figured it out. She cuts out the violence of movies as a job because she cut out the violent part of her memory of killing her sister. So that's what
Yes.
she does. She chops out the bad stuff to make it a perfect world.
Yeah.
We need to get on the phone to somebody ASAP. We've got the key and we've got the secret.
And that makes sense as to why when she saw that actress that looked a lot like a sister, she was completely like spiraled. I'm like, that is my sister, because I think my sister's still out there. I have to believe that, because the alternative is that I actually killed her and I can't process that. So she becomes so obsessed with this person and thinking it's a sister, that even when that girl's saying I don't know who the fuck you are, Mrs. Like, so like stop trying
Miss
it.
Thing.
And she's still going at it, and that's when you get to the end point and you're like, it's not
But
all
it's all
sunshine.
rainbows. It's
Yeah.
sunshine and rainbows, because here is the ideal world. that she finally has, that she's wanted to give her parents. Here it is, even though deep down she knows it's not possible. So her mental fragile brain is clasping at any straws to make something
Exactly.
happen.
Just tell me your overall experience with it.
Yes, so I obviously left Censor feeling a little bit confused, but of course, talking to yourself and really discussing it, I think it's the sort of movie that needs to be talked about and needs to be
Yes.
discussed and analysed. And I like that for it. It's not snobbish in its approach. It's clever. It knows what it is. It's original. Yes, it can, as you said, but it can be a bit long at the tooth, and maybe
Mm-hmm.
it might just take a bit too long to get in there. But I think overall, I think it's a good film that I will need to watch again. How do you
My
feel?
overall is that it's weird as fuck, which I like. It's such like a little weirdo of a film. There's some really cool scenes. I really like the style in which it's shot, like the stuff that they
Yep.
use. Like it's just yeah, it's really well done. Again, hats off to another Brit flick, just hitting it out the park. I mean, we just know how to do it. I'm sorry, we just do.
It's a something.
Yeah.
And it's not like I'm gonna flick something on, have a nice chill day. Let's put on Censor. No.
Yeah, because it's not it's
No.
not it's not something you can easily follow. You have to sort of like pay attention.
Yeah,
And
you have to be in it, don't you?
before we do go, I do have to want to quickly touch upon the fact that Black Summer has come back into our lives. I've only watched now, like before you I've only watched the first episode. Um,
I
however,
just finished it today. I
all right.
literally just finished, so I
Yeah,
took my
so
time. I took my time watching it.
I only watched the first episode. I'm definitely obviously I'm going back into it. It was great. I loved every moment of it. And I forgot, but I was excited that I forgot how choppy it is, and it doesn't follow like a smooth way of
It's
storytelling.
like
It's
segments, isn't
yeah,
it? Like
it's and
little
I
snippets.
really, really enjoy that about it. It's very chaotic, but like in a good way, because if you think about it, like a zombie apocalypse is extremely chaotic. So why wouldn't the filming of one be extremely chaotic? But like that whole scene where the guy's driving and he's got the zombie on top of the car, like I was so my heart was like pumping. I was
That
loving it.
and
It
that was
was
proper. That was proper like open and scream sort of shit. Like let's bring a character back from the first season,
yeah,
and fuck him up and two
yeah.
minutes seconds. And I was like, ah. But I think that it would be good for us maybe potentially to do an episode on season 2 of Black Summer, because I just finished it and I think it would be really interesting to talk about, because it is a different beast to the first season.
Yeah.
You take that as what you will. But yeah, it's different.
Do you without giving any spoilers, do you think it's a better season than season one?
I don't.
Right, okay.
Simply because I'm not giving anything away, but this season is more focused on humans and how they have and what they have become.
Yeah,
While the first one was like just such an authentically chaotic zombie series that it was
yeah.
about nothing other than really zombies. And I like that. There was something weirdly refreshing, because nowadays zombies just aren't good enough, so it needs to be about everything else. While Black
But
Summer
it
was like zombies, that is it. So season two
yeah,
more human sort of.
but it kind of makes sense because you do have to sort of like see that part of it, sort of the
Of
aftermath
course.
of the initial like,
Mhm.
fuckery and buffoonery, and then what happens after that point and how people do adapt. Whereas like, with The Walking Dead, it was like 3 seasons back to back of just the humans being like shitty people. And it's like
That's it. That's it.
this is really boring. Like you
And
like
and you can kind of see how, after just finishing the second season today, I can see what they're doing. So the first season, as you said, the zombie apocalypse has just started. It's all about the zombies. The second season is like 6 months in, and it's all about the humans. And I can see that I imagine the next season will be a different approach. So I
yeah.
see what they're doing. They're literally spelling out like different stages of how zombie apocalypse would sort of go. And I like that. And I hope there's more seasons.
Yeah, and it's definitely refreshing to see like zombies in the snow and like how that because the only
Love
other
it.
one I could think of is
Dead Snow.
yes, and what's the other one? Is it 30 Days of Night?
30 Days a Night.
Are
Yeah.
they vampire? Are they vampires or
They're
zombies?
vampires, but
Are
they
they?
look like zombies.
Well, it's the same. It's kind of say it's the same sort
Yeah,
of like
yeah.
situation. It's not. They're not. I know they're not the same vampires and zombies. So don't at me. I mean, like the how they all is and how they all are. It's kind of like quite similar. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, I found that really interesting how like they've incorporated like the snow and the winter aspect into.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I will say, the first season ends in such like a cliffhanger that I don't like how they jump 6 months in the future. I kind of wanted a bit of like I want to know how you got from there to here.
Yeah.
But as you said, it's the chaos, or it's the chaotic nature of the show that's the way it is. You ain't going to find out everything. If someone runs away in the distance, you might not see them again, maybe for the whole season or for like 5 or 6 episodes. You know, you just might not know what happened because that's the nature of the zombie apocalypse. Like that's just gonna happen. So I like
exactly.
that.
And I really enjoyed the fact that like they'll just have like a random scene where someone's just doing something really random and you kind of think that has no sort of like relevance to what's going on, and then it'll just kind of come back around. You kind of know in the back of your mind that that's gonna come back around some point later. Like there'd be a reason why we got a scene of that person like on their own doing that thing, because there'll be a sort of like a loop or a link somewhere in the series, you know what I mean? Because like in the first one, there was the scene where you were with what's her name, Jamie King, like she was in like the forefront, and you saw like in the
Rose?
background. Yeah, but you saw like in the background, like someone was like a girl was being attacked, or like a guy was being attacked by a girl zombie, and then it sort of like looped back around, and you saw it from the other side of that, you know. And so I like that they do that a lot.
That's stellar, and I rewatched season 1 before season 2, so I could be caught up. And episode 1 of Black Summer is lethal. How the zombie that chases people, as you said, it does complete full loop. You end up following the zombie, and then end up following the person that was then chased by the zombie. And I'm like, how could you even write that? That my brain couldn't even like. I'm like, what comes first, the chicken or the egg? You know, it's very that.
They've done a really good job at like sort of like, you know, breathing some life into the zombie genre, because we have been oversaturated by the likes of The Walking Dead and the Fear of the Walking Dead. And then what's the other spin-off? There's the Fear of the Walking Dead, and there's
World Beyond. Yeah, I think The Walking Dead sort of revigorated is that even a word? Revitalized the zombie genre, especially for TV. The Walking Dead changed the face of horror TV and allowed a lot more horror shows to come out, which is ironic because The Walking Dead is like nearly the final nail in the coffin of that very genre. Now Black Summer has come along, and the first season didn't really get much attention, but this season, like the reviews are banging. Like it was like top 10 on Netflix, which the first season wasn't.
But I feel like where were you for the first season? Because the first season was like off the chain. So like chain. Like you can't, like the critics start coming out now and like out the woodworks. Don't think so. Like you should like go back and give the first season its dues, because that was absolute banging season.
Yeah, and that's it. And everyone's saying everyone is sleeping on Black Summer. Why is nobody watching Black Summer? But it's now top 10 on Netflix, which means people are copping on, which means I think a season 3 will come. Let the good times roll, because that show is the ooh, the ah, and all the sensation.
Please do go and follow us on Instagram at
Spilling Guts Podcast.
Follow us on Twitter at
Spilling Guts Pod.
Find us on Facebook at
Spilling Guts Podcast.
Send us a cheeky little email at
Spilling Guts Podcast at outlook.com. You always look at me like I'm going to fuck that up. I see your face.
And please do like, subscribe, leave a review, because all that good stuff helps.
If you like us so much, get us sing. That'd be nice. Get more people listening to this. Why not?
Yeah. Props to your mama.
Props to your mama.
Well, after that, it's the only thing left is
say goodbye.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Goodbye.